What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Two Knicks Chicks. I'm your girl, Lady and the Chef, joined by my co-host today.
Deepaluxe 21, what's up?
Knicks played a second game of a back-to-back. They hosted the Los Angeles Clippers, and the Knicks were completely dominated in that game. The Knicks lost 122 to 144. The Knicks are now sitting at 14 and 11 in the Eastern Conference. Um, Actually, that game marked the seventh win for the LA Clippers, their seventh win in a row. I rewatched that game. I also took a look at many of the stats. The Knicks were also outscored in that game every quarter. First quarter, Knicks scored 33, Clippers were 35. Second quarter, the Knicks dropped another 33. LA dropped 42. Third quarter, which made the difference there, as you can see. Third quarter, Knicks scored 32 points. Clippers scored 37 points. Fourth quarter, Knicks scored 24. Clippers dropped 30. And just reading those numbers alone, um, you can tell it was a high scoring game overall. The Knicks allowed way too many points in that game. And it's something that's been a problem with the Knicks so far. So since limiting the Toronto Raptors to 106 points back on December 1st, New York has given up 146 points, 133 points, 130 points, 117 points, 122 points, and yesterday 144 points. That's 792 total points in 6 games with an average of 132 each game. According to Tom Thibodeau, in quote, he said, right now, no one is playing great defense. We got to fix that as a group. I'm not sure what's going on with the Knicks defensively, as the efforts seem very lackluster. Guys seem to be lost. I rewatched the game against the Clippers yesterday, and I saw a play where Quentin Grimes, someone, what are they that saying in basketball when they thread the needle? So someone threw a nice pass, and it was so weird because I was like, "Damn, Quentin Grimes, and he's a good defender. He didn't even see the ball. His back was still to the play as it happened, and the whoever caught the ball on the Clippers grabbed it and just I don't even know if they did a reverse layup or just a simple layup. And I said, wow. I said that's concerning because he didn't even see that, and it wasn't because someone set a nice screen or that it was a setup play. It was just a simple pass.
Yeah.
And normally guys will see that happen and they just can't catch the ball when the ball they're threading the needle. He didn't even see it happening. I also looked at guys like RJ Barrett, who I thought RJ Barrett's defense was pretty decent against Paul George. But that was just a case of better offense.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought Randall's defense against who was Randall Garden?
So why?
Kawhi
Mhm.
Leonard. Kawhi Leonard had 36 points last night. He
Yeah,
looked like MVP old school Kawhi Leonard. The Knicks had no answer for him. Randall had no answer. And I thought at some points, I thought Randall's defense was pretty decent, but I just thought that it wasn't enough, um, defensively. And it made me think of how you were saying this is where in games like this you miss Mitchell Robinson. But before we get on that, I want to ask you because I noticed Tibbs has been starting Sims and then giving Hartenstein the bulk of the minutes. Do you think that maybe Tibbs should go with starting Hartenstein first in games and then putting Sims in for a little bit, but continue to give Hartenstein the bulk of the minutes?
um, they're just what, two, 3 games in with Sims.
Yeah.
I mean, I would see how this road game map out, this road trip map out for Sims.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, he still has to get that experience. It's not gonna come with 1, 2, 3 games.
Right.
Give the young fella reps, let him run. Um, I don't think so just yet. I wouldn't just pull the plug just yet. I mean, look at what Grimes. He gave him, he started, let him run some.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, that's only what he's gonna learn. Like how what's that Zubac slammed on him and he fell back. Again, that he needs
Yeah,
to figure out, well, I gotta hold my ground. So no, don't pull him just yet. Finish out that road trip with Sims. And then now when you come back home, um, you know, now maybe we'll figure out, well, will this be a better matchup for this game? Like for instance, the Bucks. Perhaps that's a good game to start Hartenstein because we know what the Bucks have on their roster and what they're capable of. So I mean, no, leave them in definitely for that remainder of the road trip. And I let them learn. And I just want to correct something. You said that they I don't know, it seemed like you said your wording, the Knicks had hosted. They were as we know, they're on a road trip. So the Knicks were
yeah,
at
the Knicks on their road trip.
yeah.
Um,
Um, but no, I'm a ride with Sims for the remainder of the road trip. I hope Tibbs as well.
yeah, I think it makes me look at also like what was the point of also bringing in Taj Gibson? I hear the word insurance policy, but for what? Because the reason why I'm saying that is because okay, you need help down in a center position. The Knicks don't really have anybody who's being that defensive presence to a degree. Now, I will say Hartenstein has been playing decent basketball, pretty good basketball. He is averaging at least 3 blocks, 2 to 3 blocks a game. Last night, he did have a double double. He had 10 boards, 12 points, 2 assists. Um, but, you giving Taj the scrappy minutes time, what, to give Hartenstein a break when you're getting blown out?
Yeah.
Mm,
I
I
mean,
don't understand that.
yeah, he even pulled his starters like what with 6 minutes left and six and some change left in the game. Like you said, why is Taj there? If he's this presence of why you brought him along to fill that gap with Mitch, well, let's see what else he can do instead of just give him garbage time. Whether you're winning or you're losing, you know, maybe his rotation needs to watch. But we all know, Tibbs, he has that low rotation, and he's like, I'm not diverting from that, you know.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Tibbs, he's so like stuck, in his ways. So, but yeah, for me personally, there was no defense, and just
Mm.
defensively, like it was just lacking in every quarter. So it was this time it wasn't even the third quarter collapse. It was just all four quarters. So that they gotta figure it out, man. Like the Knicks defense is a huge problem, and it needs to be corrected and soon. Like
I thought for me in the third quarter is where I really thought that the Clippers really ran away. I saw Westbrook drive into the basket several times, doing what Westbrook does, using speed. He's older than a lot of guys on the Knicks and used
he's
speed and got past guys and got to the
yeah,
basket and made easy layups. James Harden didn't really have to go off because Paul George, Kawhi, Terrence Mann, Zubac, those old guys all showed up and performed. Um, I know if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, Josh Hart got ejected out of the game.
yeah, he was yapping off with the refs, and I mean, sometimes you wonder, is it just frustration or they just don't want to play? And in Hart's case, I'm like, it's suspect. You know, sometimes if their heart is not in it, I don't want to say, but it seems like they pull little shenanigans just to, uh, you know, I'm not. I'm not in it, so let me just yap off and I don't know. I'm just again, it's always from a spectator's bird's eye view. So
Hmm.
um, yeah, he did get ejected. And speaking of like just the scoring, like let's talk about their bench.
Yeah, yeah. But see, that's the thing. Paul George, he finished with 25 points,
Yeah,
7 assists, 4 rebounds. Kawhi Leonard had 36 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Zubac had 13 points, 11 boards. James Harden finished with 12 points, 10 points, 12 assists. Terrence
wow,
Mann had 13 points, 4 assists. Norman Powell had 16 points.
off the
Russell
bench.
Westbrook had 10 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists.
Wow,
I mean, it's just they had 7 guys in double figures points wise for the Clippers. Whereas with the Knicks, Emmanuel Quickly only had 9 points. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Quentin Grimes finished with 8 points. Isaiah Hartenstein finished with 12 points, 10 rebounds. Dante DiVincenzo gave us 18 points. Jalen Brunson finished with 22 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Jericho Sims finished with 7 points, 2 rebounds. RJ finished with 18 points, 5 rebounds. And Julius Randle finished with 22 points, 3 assists, and 4 rebounds. 4 rebounds is not going to cut it from Julius Randle.
it's not. That's
It's just not going to cut it. You can't give us 4 rebounds. You got to be able to give us a few more than that. That's not enough. Because if you're looking at it, the only person that was really rebounding was Isaiah Hartenstein. And then you had RJ Barrett with 5, Emmanuel Quickly with 4, another 4 from Emmanuel Quickly. And
yeah.
Emmanuel Quickly, I don't know. Do you think that is he checked out or is he just not in rhythm? What's going on with Quick? Because I feel like Quickly, when I'm watching him play lately, he's not being that explosive quickly with the energy that we're used to seeing. He just seems like he's just playing his role. And it's like, this is what I'm going to give you. And that's it.
Yeah. That's what it seems like. So you don't know if it's is it because he didn't get the bag and it's like, okay, well, either way he feel like he's going to get it regardless. If it's not from the Knicks, then
Mm-hmm.
somebody else will. So it makes you wonder, did he check out? Because even, although he had a, semi decent game when they beat Phoenix, with the little circus shot, this and that, the third, but prior to that, he's just not given 100 again, 100% for my looks. He's not all the way there, so he partly checked out. But
Yeah,
he's
that's what I've
he's
been wondering with him. I just feel like Quickly's not playing to that same level of energy like he was when we first initially started the first maybe 12 to 15 games of the season. And it does make you wonder if he's just kind of like, I'm going to just give a little effort, and I think, you know, we know what Quickly's capable of doing. But I think if him being inconsistent and having some games where he's red hot and in other games where he's not, because I think yesterday's a prime example of a game where Quickly would have been a nice, resourceful help to the
yeah, the
Knicks.
team. Yeah,
And I feel like, and it's not me putting the blame on him, but when I keep speaking of we need to have the supporting cast, this is what I mean on games where the Knicks have lost. Take away from the defensive end, that's one part of it. But I think when you look at the scoring wise, yes, we know the Knicks can score, but I think sometimes in games where a game like yesterday, when you getting blown out by 22 points, if you had scoring from Josh Hart, more scoring from Emmanuel Quickly,
Grimes.
Grimes, that will help you out and you're not getting blown out. Maybe you lose by 10, maybe you lose by 8 points. But to have it be such a large deficit that you're losing by, it doesn't look good. And the fact that the Knicks are allowing teams to score so many points also, again, the Knicks are scoring, and we know the part of it is the defense, but I think the problem is too is like, And I've noticed this in the past few games, even when the Knicks have only lost maybe by like 10 points or it's been like 8 or whatever. I look at the points sometimes and I'm like, if only we would have had a little bit more maybe from Grimes and Quickly, or a game maybe where DiVincenzo doesn't score, where I'm like, that's where you need the supporting cast from other guys to be able to
Yeah.
come in and contribute. And I
Yeah,
don't
that's
think the
yeah,
Knicks have that help from those supporting cast guys.
they don't. And this is, where like and it would have been helpful if somebody would have taken that game over.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, they didn't have like nobody stepped up to
Yeah.
like say, okay, like how Brunson did the other day, beating the Suns. He carried the team on his back.
Hmm.
So, and there's gonna be nights where he can't do it all. Like yesterday was an off night for him. So somebody on that Knicks roster should have stepped up and filled in that hole and said, okay, well, let me, he's having an off night. Let me step in and, see, give him, give a, it's not, the defense, we know it's not there, but offensively, like take over that game.
Hmm.
And nobody stepped up, quite frankly. So, and then then your bench, like you said, your supporting cast, like somebody else should have stepped up and gave a better offensive effort. Because like the Clippers, man, they had that paint was wide open for them. They
Yeah.
scored 60 points in the paint. Like, and then and can we talk about the three? So like the Knicks, they gotta, you can't do one, you win one, lose one, win one, lose one. I mean, when are they gonna put together consecutive 5, 6, 7 game streak? They did it last year, so we know the capability is there. So this is what the Knicks need to do. Form to that cohesiveness, and I got your back. If you I see you're struggling. Somebody needs to pick up that slack.
But who is going to be that somebody? Because do the Knicks have, like, who on the Knicks is capable of doing that? You
Yeah,
look at a lot of other teams and they have that guy who can say, I'm going to take the ball in my hand. They have this eye of the tiger look. They're very poised. They're going to do what they need to do to get their team that win. Who on the Knicks is capable of doing that, though?
that's the $1 million question. I don't know. I was just throwing it out there. If I had that answer,
So you're saying the Knicks don't have anyone like that besides Brunson,
no, they don't. What Randall's capable. And I
but he
believe
just doesn't do it.
he just don't do it. Randall
Not to
is,
that level.
yeah,
Yeah, Randall doesn't
exactly.
do it to that level of a Jimmy Butler who's gonna say,
Yes.
"Give me the ball every time down, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
make the play." And I'm not even just talking about the last second shot. I'm talking about the last couple of possessions because I'm gonna crawl my
Possession.
team back into it
Yes.
and get us back into that game. And I don't think Randall does it to that level of like a Gillius, where he's gonna give me the ball the last couple of
Yes.
possessions, or Chet Holmgren, give me the ball and I'm gonna get us back in this game and I'm
Yep.
gonna do what I need to do. And I also think is that I think Randall has certain moves under his bag, but I don't think he has the move under his bags like I see with those guys who do it to that level of saying, I'm going to crawl my team back into the game. You know what I mean? Like, I see sometimes what they do, and it's not nothing super fancy. They're not trying to be like Mike or fly in the air, whatever. But even like you look at like a LeBron get the ball in the last few seconds of his hand or those last few possessions. And sometimes with those players who do it to that level, they're not even necessarily saying, well, I'm gonna score every basket. Sometimes it's the right play that they're making where they're
Yeah.
passing it at the right
Yeah.
time, or they're
Yep.
they're throwing up the alley oop at the right time, or whatever they're doing, it's the right play to get their team over the hump to be like, okay, we're down. I'm gonna crawl us back into it. And sometimes in certain instances, it takes a team, a collective effort, and sometimes it takes a leader to say, I'm gonna get us back in this game. And I just don't think that with the Knicks, minus Jalen Brunson, and I agree with you, he's not gonna be on every night. But unfortunately, we don't have a second or third option guy like the Clippers in that case, who can go to Kawhi, they can go to Paul George, they can go to Harden, who could all have been proven on teams they've been on to take their team and carry them over the hump and get them back into that game late in the fourth. And the Knicks just don't have that.
No, they don't. And again, I liking to believe that Randall is capable, but again, it's just something like he don't. And you don't want to compare, athletes, or compare apples to oranges, but he just don't have it for to that capacity. But he's capable. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that makes sense, because he's a great player. He has the body strength. He can, go, excuse me, go in, give you something off the glass, and come down the paint, and dunk on them. But again, just that, like, that take you home, type of guy, you know. But that's another story.
But what do you think it is with him? Like, why do you think Randall? Is it because he doesn't want to be that number one player like he's spoken about? He's more comfortable being. He doesn't want to be in the spotlight type of player, or is it that, or is it just like, what is it? Is it the team that he's on and Randall doesn't want to do it here? Why is it that Randall is not stepping up to be like that? I'm gonna get us past that leadership role on the team when we need him in games where we need you to crawl us back into the game.
Was several things, and that one, regardless of what he said, oh, I don't mind being the third option. Sometimes if your guard is off, your point guard, or if your teammate, then guess what? You have to be that first option. So whatever you said in the past, you got to let that go and
Mm-hmm.
step up and be that player that can take your team home. And then another thing I also heard, and again, it's just all out in the atmosphere, that they said Randall don't play to his best with other great players. Like his light sort of gets dim, like when he's playing up against another superstar, i.e., there's quite a few. I'm not gonna go down the list.
Right.
There's quite a few. And third, I don't think it's because he's on the Knicks and because quite frankly, if he goes to someplace else, will he fare better? Who knows? We don't have a looking glass, or some wand to see in the future. Will he fare better? Who I don't We don't know. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the team you're on, so you need to embrace that role. And and again, if your teammate is off, you need to be that option and say, okay, well, let me take this and I'm gonna carry us home, or give a better offensive effort, that you do.
Right.
So I don't, want to, those are just, excuses. In basketball, there's no excuses. Just go out and play.
Agreed. Agreed. And that's how I feel. Like, you can't tell me, oh, because this guy is better than me. Like, you can respect the guy's craft.
Yeah.
You, at one point, wasn't he, when he was on Paul George podcast, wasn't he trying to recruit or trying to get Paul George to think about coming to the Knicks? So you mean to tell me you gonna let your light dim when you playing with a guy like him, to his caliber
Yeah.
of, the caliber of player that he is? So I just feel like you can't uh, make excuses for things like that. The Knicks, I know you mentioned the Clippers scored 60 points in the paint. The Knicks did score 62 points in the paint. They had finished with 10 turnovers. Clippers finished with 8. The Knicks did have 7 steals. Clippers had 8.
Hmm.
Knicks finished with 4 blocks. Clippers finished with 6. The Knicks had 26 assists. The Clippers finished with 36. Total rebounds. Knicks got out rebounded 42 to 39. Offensive rebounds, the Knicks did have 12. Clippers finished with 8. And defensive rebounds, the Knicks had 27 and the Clippers had 34. Free throws, the Knicks were 23 for 26 at 88%. Clippers were 28 for 34 at 82%. And 3-point percentage, the Knicks were 11 for 35 at 31%, and Clippers was 16 for 33 at 48%.
Yeah.
Field goal percentages, you know, the Knicks were at 46%. Clippers were at 56%. That's a big difference right there.
Yeah.
And, I think while the Knicks did a good job limiting the turnovers, there still was some plays that I saw that were just careless turnovers. And a few of them were on Randall, where the ball slipped out of his hand. Another time it dribbled off of his leg. And I just think that defensively, the Knicks didn't really have an answer in the paint from missing Mitch, but there also was no answer on the perimeter.
Yeah. Yep.
And this is a continued problem. And I agree with you. I think that somehow Tibbs needs to get these guys back on the floor. I look at coaches like Gino Auriemma, Dawn Stanley, Becky
Staley.
Hammond, who?
Staley.
Staley,
Mm.
Becky Hammond. And if you look at their coaching style, those coaches, when they implement things on their teams, that's why their teams are so good. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because they're a stickler for defense. They're going to bring out the best potential in each of their players.
Yep.
Those assistant coaches are doing what they need to do to make sure those coaches are up to that make sure those players are up to that head coach's level where they need them to be. Even if you're a second or third option, you have to be ready. And I was out last night and there was like they was doing this background coverage on Page and UConn, and they were talking about
Paige
Gino.
Beckers.
Yeah. But it wasn't really so much on her. It was just more so on him. And they were showing him on the court and he was like ripping into one of the players. And he was like, every time we run that play, like he's trying to tell her, you keep going there. And that's not where you need to be. You need to be here on the defensive end. And I just feel like sometimes, even in a professional league, I don't care how many millions of dollars you're getting paid, these are the kind of things you have to do in practices. You can't just run a practice just for the sake of running a practice, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah. No.
you're showing up to practice just to run a practice because we have to practice. I think you got to really dig deep and get in and say, okay, this is what needs to happen. These are the changes we need to make.
Yeah.
When I watch film and then I see you in games and I see you in a practice, you keep doing this, but I need you guys to do this. Or as a team, guys are coming up and you're rotating over doing this, but this is why we keep failing on the defensive end because we're allowing teams to beat us here. And I think as a coach, as an organization, you have to dig down in practices and dig deep and go back to the basics, even if you need to.
But and another thing on that note, it's like, don't y'all watch films of like other teams? Yeah, we don't need you, this is what did you consume in your life watching film, but
Right,
you study. That's why you have film sessions, not just to watch your level of play, but okay, this is the style that they play. And yeah, they always switch it up, but if you get an inkling, and you played these guys before, so this is nothing out of the ordinary,
right.
so
And that's
like,
what great players do, like Kobe Bryant.
yeah,
He watched plenty of film and watched what players were going to do. And also, not just for other teams, but critiquing himself
yep,
and what he could have done better. And I think that like a lot of, a lot of people, I hear them say like, oh, well, the NBA now is more so about points and scoring. But that's the problem. You looking at a lot of teams and they get scoring 150 points in a game. Is this the Harlem Globetrotters or is this the NBA? Why are you
Yeah,
scoring 172 points in a game? That's a problem. That means
yeah,
defense is going out the window. So you mean to tell me you mean to tell me when you leave college, it's just about shooting the ball?
yeah.
Who could shoot?
Doing
Excuse
them
me.
stat sheets, for the most part.
It's crazy.
How about you hold the man and don't let him score on you?
Right.
That's a nice stat to have.
Right.
I mean, put on
What
your
happened to
resume.
the defensive juggernauts that the league used to have? You know, the Knicks need like an Anthony Mason type guy. Somebody
Yeah.
who's just like, yo,
Yep.
you're not coming by me at all. Try me. I'm dunking, I'm blocking your shot every time. I saw OKC played Denver and Chet Holmgren had like 9 blocks in
Nine
that game.
blocks.
My guy said, but he was out there playing volleyball. And the guys on Denver were like, yo, that's a goaltender. Yo, that's a foul. It wasn't a foul. He was just playing great defense. He kept his
Defense.
hand straight up
Yep.
and he didn't care how big those other guys were against him because he's a lanky guy like a KD. But the defensive
Yeah.
efforts would just, and that's what the Knicks need. You need guys like Mitchell Robinson does that well, but I think it can't just be Mitch.
Yeah. And,
This is also exposing the Knicks as a team. What do you say?
and-
So Mitch is your only defensive
yeah.
aggressor that you have on the team?
And that's what we alluded to the other podcast. This is, and you said it even today. This is where his presence is missed and where it's needed. But again, somebody has to fill that gap in that role because he's gonna be out for 2 months. So what, you gonna go on a 2-month losing streak? That's asinine. So this is where other players have to step up
Yeah,
because he's gonna be out for 2 months. So okay, now your mindset, has to be okay. Well, this, where can I get better at defensively? Mitch is not here, so who's gonna fill that role? You
right.
know? So
And it needs to come from a team effort, like you were just saying. But that's where I think, like you said right at the beginning, I think that they have to figure out as a team, how do you stop teams?
mm,
How do you stop teams from going on a run and digging you guys into a hole where now you're like, damn, now we down by 16. Now we're down by 18 points. And now you got to try to crawl back into that, down from that. So I think the Knicks have to figure out how, as a team, they can defensively stop teams. And the Knicks have to figure out how to do that, how to prevent teams from shooting lights out on the perimeter, you know, getting easy buckets in the paint. You got to guard that paint and protect the paint a lot better. And the Knicks have to learn how to play one-on-one man defense, and they don't know how to do that well. The
yeah,
defense is becoming very lackluster. I read off the stats earlier how many points they've been allowing teams, and it's well over 100 points a game, which is ridiculous at this point.
yeah, and so far, hey, dude, this is remind, we're just a quarter, a little, quarter over the season
The
mark,
season,
but they've allowed 140 points twice
yeah.
from different teams. So now again, we're just a quarter. So, and there's still a lot of ball to be played and a
Hmm.
lot of ball to be had. So you gotta nip that in the bud. You gotta figure out what can we do to get better defensively, you
Right.
know. And that's something that's why I said they gotta figure it out and figure it out soon.
But can the Knicks make a defensive switch and change with this group of guys they have, or is it going to take some? We'll see changes once the Knicks make some moves in the offseason. Can it happen with this team or no?
Yeah, it can, anything's doable. And yeah, they can, but they have to like figure out how can we make that change and what can we do to make that change. So you don't want to throw your hands up and says, "Oh, it's not doable." It's still time. Yes, with these group of guys, yes. You're not throwing in a towel. You still got, there's a lot of ball left to be played. But
Right.
they have to figure out what can we do. and how can we implement it, going forward.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
I think yeah, it's gonna take a collective effort. I think also Tibbs has to hunker down and figure out a way to make the Knicks a better team defensively, because like you and I have said, he's one of those coaches that preaches defense and he's so into defense, but it just doesn't show on the floor when you watch the
yeah.
Knicks play. So there's a big disconnect there.
Yeah. On paper, it looks good,
Right.
but it's not implemented in the actual game, real
Mm,
time game. The
yeah,
paper looks good. They this and they that. They in the net rating it, but defensively, I mean, it's just not showing on the floor.
right. Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I hate when the Knicks see they got me all messed up calling them licks. I hate when the
'Cause
Knicks do this and get themselves caught up in this situation, where they lose, and it's gonna happen. But I just don't want to see the Knicks giving up 144 points. That right there just cannot happen.
yeah,
Um, and the Knicks will be playing tomorrow. It's another late one out in LA playing the Lakers at 10:30 for a Monday night Knicks game. And then after that, they play again on Wednesday. They play Brooklyn, who the Knicks also seem to have issues sometimes beating the Nets. They may beat them once or twice, then the Nets beat them. And I always feel like the Nets games are always really close. But I think with the Lakers, the Knicks have to be ready and prepared to beat those guys. The Lakers have also, like the Clippers, have been getting their stuff together for the most part. I know they were the NBA in-season tournament champions, but the Lakers are not doing horrible. They're actually right now. I think they're sitting in eighth. They're sitting in eighth, and that's just because on the West, the other teams are just too good. And surprisingly, Houston is at seventh above them. But the Lakers won their last game. No, I'm sorry. They beat the Spurs the first time, 119, 122. They played them in a back to back. And then the Spurs beat the Lakers this past Friday, 115 to 129. And the Lakers are also another one. I see a lot of their teams are scoring 125, 119, high scoring games, 110. But I think the Knicks are going to have their work cut out for them. You got to watch out for, of course, King James, Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura. They do have Cam Reddish, and I'm sure he's going to get playing time, so you have to watch out for him. Austin Reeves is another player you have to watch out for.
yeah,
They also
yeah.
do have Gabe Vincent. Um, yeah, so I think the Knicks are going to have their work cut out for them watching those guys because the Lakers are, they like to run and gun like the Clippers. And I think it's going to be imperative that the Knicks watch those guys. Salute Ajay.
Salute, Aj.
And yeah, the Lakers are a matchup problem for us.
They
It's
are.
going to be, and also with Mitch being out, who's going to watch and guard Anthony Davis?
Yeah,
You know what I
it's a
mean?
problem.
Hartenstein is going to have to, and Sims are going to have to really make those guys work and try to keep them out the paint as much as possible because they're going to look to throw in easy lobs.
Oh yeah, all day, and just strength wise, and just the footwork, that he possessed. AD.
Hmm.
He's quick, although he's a big guy. This is a matchup that I may would like to see maybe Hartenstein start, but you want to ride with Sims, because let him finish out that road trip. But I don't know, maybe he probably will switch that position. But again, Sims he needs to learn. You
Yeah,
know that's the only way he's gonna get better. But it's gonna be a huge matchup problem.
it is because I see it happening now. AD could shoot the three. And where the
Really?
Knicks keep having issues is when they have those other teams have those bigs that could shoot the three. You'll have Hartenstein out there trying to, or Sims trying to guard them on the 3-point line. And then a lot of times, if they don't take that 3-point shot, they're dumping it down low. Or you may have a cutting LeBron or Austin
Yeah.
Reeves coming to the basket, and now that's an easy shot for them. And I think a lot of times the Knicks get caught watching instead of staying ready on their toes to move.
Yeah.
And I
Mm-hmm.
saw that a lot with the Clippers game where, guys just got caught. And the Knicks also get caught a lot of times on the double screens. They somehow are
Oh,
too late. And I saw that happen several times last night. I was like, man,
yeah.
these guys are just the Knicks, they're not ready. They're like 2 steps too slow.
That's what I was getting ready to say, yo. You took the words right out my mouth. I was like, even like yesterday, they always seemed like they were a step or two slower than the Clippers. And at some point they seem like sluggish for whatever reason. And you just don't want it to carry over with the Lakers. Maybe this will be a bounce back game for them.
Right.
Because again, it's anybody's game at any given night. So let's
Exactly.
hope this is a bounce back game for them.
Yeah. The Knicks have to redeem themselves. And I think they have to figure out again throughout these games, figure out how to become a better team defensively.
Yeah.
And then when their shots are not going down, I keep saying this and I'm gonna keep saying it. The Knicks have to learn how to drive to the basket, draw the contact, get these other teams in foul trouble. Um, but yeah, I don't want to see the Knicks continue to come out and be in a step too slow against guys defensively and getting caught behind double screens or, falling for the same okey doke old school play of a guy, the big sets the screen, and then the Knicks players are trying to fight around the screen, and now guys get an open shot, which it's funny how when other teams do it against the Knicks, I don't see the Knicks do it enough, where they're able to, someone
Hmm.
sets a screen for guys, and then they're able to get,
Yeah.
an easy shot. So I don't know. I think that there's something that, the Knicks have to figure out and work on, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But do you
Yeah.
have the Knicks winning that game?
I'm optimistic and I'm gonna go, yeah. Yeah, or going for that pump fake. Yo, I see that all that's what we talked about.
Yeah,
Like
we talked about
they
that two
fall for
episodes
that,
ago.
they fall for that okey doke
Every
every
time. The
every
Knicks move their feet for every little move. A guys could do a head fake.
time.
And they think that, and it's the oldest trick in the book, and the Knicks players fall for it. It's too much leaving their feet too soon, hopping up off their toes to jump up. Why? You can't want to fall for every freaking play that you see that's going on and want to you leave your feet now, or now the player beats them to the basket, they drive to the basket. It's just it's gotta stop. Yeah, Jericho Sims falls for every play. He
Yeah.
falls for every little punk fake a guy does.
Yeah, yeah, he does. That's another thing. I to stop leaving their feet, like leaving the ground, man. Just you can't fall for that. You're not gonna block every shot, but if stay on your feet. Don't
Yeah,
fall for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
but he's still doing it a lot. Yeah, Jericho leaves his feet way too much. Hartenstein leaves his feet too much. Who else
They all
does it a
do.
lot? Yeah, yeah. No, seriously, they do. Randall does it a lot.
Yeah.
Also, what's his name? DiVincenzo. He falls for too many of the punk fakes also, and then guys get an easy 3-point shot. It's
The
too much.
whole team does. I've seen
Yeah.
where Grimes, they running out into the corner like they're gonna block it, and the guy's not even he's not gonna shoot because he know you coming at him.
Mm-hmm.
So don't fall for that. Like who does that? Like the guys, he's not gonna shoot at the first attempt. He wants to get you off your feet, and they
Right.
fall for it every single time. Not some of the
Right.
time, all the time.
Right.
Start keeping a stat of it too.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Anything else for you before we get out of here?
No, I mean, just there's some things that that they can do to win this game. It's winnable. They just guard the perimeter. You know, offensively they're there, but again, it's the defense. That they seem to struggle with. So you know, no, I just want to see them win. Definitely go to and you know, because you come to Brooklyn, so it'd be nice. If you could just take another win.
Right. I did want to point out how Kevin Durant did throw some shade at Quentin Grimes.
Oh yeah, I was gonna yeah.
So following the loss to Phoenix on Friday, um, pretty much Kevin Durant brought up some interesting comments or made a comment and was referring to Grimes about his deficiencies in the game. So Kevin Durant said shooters get up to Brunson and make him dribble. Like, what's his name? Quentin Grimes, Durant said. Like, he can't get 6 threes up. He doesn't dribble at all. He doesn't have any free throws on the season. He doesn't have any assists, it feels like. But he's getting threes up. That's the stuff we can't have. It's frustrating, but we'll figure it out. So I think KD made those comments because Grimes actually had a good game, but Grimes is not respected by other teams. So when KD is looking at Grimes, probably like, why would y'all allow him to shoot? It's the same thing as
Hmm.
Knicks fans when we see other players and we're saying, who is that guy? And they're shooting well against the Knicks. You can't allow that to happen. So yeah, I just thought that was crazy how salute. I thought that was crazy how KD was making those taking those shots at Grimes like that. I was like, wow, that's crazy. But
Yeah, yeah, it was tacky. Like,
yeah.
just take your L and move on. Serious. You can't win them
Right,
all,
right, right. I
regardless
was
whether
like,
who shot how many threes, and that was, yeah, that's tacky. It don't look good in your favor. Don't care who you are.
agreed, agreed. And also yesterday's game made it made a career stat for Russell Westbrook. I think he became like number 10 in most games played with that game against the Knicks yesterday.
Oh wow.
So I think the next person up he has to pass is Rudy Gay. But yeah, we'll see. He just mad they got run over even though they played well. We just played better. Yeah, the Knicks did play a lot better in that game for sure. But, that disappeared when they played against the Clippers, who you already beat. So the
Yeah,
Knicks should have won that game. But, we'll see what the Knicks do when they play against
they could
the
redeem
Lakers.
themselves.
Yeah, they have
I
to.
see.
I don't care if you're playing against LeBron James or Michael Jordan. Like, go out and win the game. I don't care. King James, whoever you playing against, AD. And my thing is, like we were saying earlier, even though you don't have Mitch, the Knicks have to figure out a way to play better defense because they're really being exposed. It
Yeah,
shows that Mitch is your best defensive option, but that can't be. You can't just have one guy that's carrying the team defensively because
yeah.
even when Mitch was playing, we had a few games where Mitch didn't play well and the Knicks lost those games as well. So,
Exactly.
I just think that unfortunately that the Knicks have to they have some things that they need to work on and defensively they got to get it together fast before we get too deep into the season, and you don't want to fall, you know,
Yeah, you
too
don't
high
want
in the standings, and now you can't, the Knicks need to try to aim to be like fourth,
oh, for
maybe
sure.
fifth. I feel like anything other than that, yeah. Is it fair to say defense is no longer our identity? I don't feel like it was ever our identity.
Tibbs
No,
is
I'm
just trying to.
serious.
No, I know.
The Knicks
Well,
have
I mean,
never been a good defensive team.
they started out on a defensive tear. No, I think they did, but somehow it's no longer. I don't believe it is. They because you got to remember they were at one point like one and then third, and they they were steady there at third, but defensively it's just they don't they had a collapse. And they got to figure out how to get back there. So it's I don't think it's no longer the Knicks identity a part of it anyway. But again, they can get back there, but they just have to just figure out how, you know.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, you know,
no, it's not too late, but I just
yeah, for
think
sure.
that, it's just that's Tibbs' claim to fame, just saying,
Yeah. Oh
yeah, it
yeah.
is, but it doesn't show in the games. And
Yeah.
that's what we were just saying, how Tibbs is such a defensive minded coach. But when you watch Knicks games in action, that defense isn't displayed on most nights. We get a sprinkle of team play. We get a sprinkle of great defensive play amongst the Knicks. But on a consistent basis, the Knicks are just not good defensively, whether it's guarding the paint, guarding their man one-on-one, trying to play a zone, which they can't do, or guarding a perimeter. The Knicks are just not good defensively. They play lackluster defense. Or they have pockets throughout the game where they're playing good defense, and then they have these collapses, and they somehow can't figure out how to rebound past that. And
Yeah.
sometimes that trickles into like it becomes a domino effect because it affects the other aspects of their game throughout a game, and it'll maybe be like 2 games, maybe 3 games in a row where you're like, wow, the Knicks just are playing poor defense. And Tibbs made a comment and said, oh, the defense, it's not good. No one is playing defense. We have to get better. I think that's something that the Knicks really need to focus on lately, is really figuring out how to become a better defensive team, because at the rate that the Knicks are moving now, you're not going to get far. They're not going to get far. And I think it's crucial that the Knicks don't fall into that 6th, 7th, 8th seed, because who you going to play against? Boston, Milwaukee, Miami, teams that you can't beat.
No, that's true.
You can't beat those teams because you haven't proven you could do it in the regular season. Unless that switches in the later half of the season, mid to the later half of the season, maybe. But up until now, and including last season, you've proven you can't beat those teams.
Because that playoff is a different animal, man. Like
That's when guys
you
turn it
said,
up.
yeah, if you can't beat them in the regular season, that the playoffs is
It's a different
you
animal.
yeah, yep, for sure.
So the Knicks they really have to do some serious, deep connecting, soul searching on the defensive end and figure out their identity as a team defensively. Because right now, there's no identity defensively.
Yeah, yeah. And string together collectively some wins.
Yeah.
And that,
And
see
they need
that's
help from the supporting cast too. We need more production from Quickly. We need more production from Grimes. We need
or
more production from Josh Hart on a consistent basis. We need more production from DiVincenzo on a consistent basis. And right now, we're not getting that. It's just mainly the same 3 guys giving us production: RJ, Randall, and Brunson.
yeah.
Just saying. So and they have to figure it out with Mitch not there. You can't tell me Mitch is the only guy that's just you guys were relying on this whole season defensively. And Mitch does a phenomenal job defensively, but still, that just doesn't look good if you only have one main guy who you're relying upon on your defensive end because injuries happen. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but that's it for us today, guys. Shout out to the chat for joining us today. Shout out to Ajay, King Ribby, for tuning in to us today. And the replay gang, we know you guys are always watching us. We appreciate you watching us and showing support. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We will be back to do some coverage on the Los Angeles Lakers game. That's the next West Coast road trip game that they'll be playing. It's a late one for Monday. It is a 10:30 p.m. game. I know it's a late one for some people, but we'll see what the Knicks could do with a resting day today. Hopefully the Knicks can rebound and come back from that game, and we can see some team collective effort, not just, the typical guys scoring, but the supporting cast members. Hopefully they step up and also help us get that win. And the Knicks are ready defensively. I think that's the biggest thing I'm going to be looking for is the defense, because we know what the Knicks can do offensively, but what can the Knicks do defensively is what I think a lot of us are looking forward to see. Can the Knicks make those adjustments and really fine tune their defense? But yeah, until next time, everybody, thank you for tuning into our channel. We appreciate the support, and we'll see you guys. Peace.
Until the next one. Peace.